I'm a child psychologist, former professor, and tech founder, but none of those titles prepared me for the hardest and most fulfilling role of my life, the role of being a mom. I have dedicated my career to studying children, how they learn, how they heal, how they thrive. My mission has been clear: help raise generations of happy, resilient kids. And here is the scientific truth. Happy, resilient kids don't come from nowhere. They come from emotionally healthy families. And emotionally healthy families start with moms. So today, I want to talk with you about something that sits at the very heart of humanity and about how something completely not human may be just what we need to protect it. Let's start with a story. It's 8:20 a.m., and I am in the school parking lot walking my first grader and preschooler to class when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they erupt into an all-out brawl over, of all things, water bottles. And right there in the school parking lot, while cars try not to run us over and parents try not to stare, I am using all of my child clinical psychology skills to peacefully de-escalate the situation. Been there. Until I don't use those skills. And I snatch the water bottles, fix the problem, and think, resolved. But just as I walk my first grader into his class, he turns around and says to me, "Mommy, why'd you have to get so mad at us?" Instantly, rage, and then guilt. Why did I have to get so mad? I walk back to my car, dejected, and I sit there, alone, overwhelmed, and I reach for my phone to call my husband, but he's in a work meeting. And as I look back at my phone, I realize I'm only minutes away from needing to make it to my own work meeting. What a way to start the day. This is modern motherhood. In our research, we find that 3 in 4 mothers report overwhelming parenting moments nearly every day. And regardless of the reason, 3 things are almost always true in the aftermath. Mothers are there, alone, overwhelmed, and reaching for their phones looking for support and guidance. This type of chronic strain has consequences. 70% of mothers experience parental burnout, compared to 40% of fathers. I'm going to let that sink in. In humanity's most important job, mothering, mothers are burning out. The risk is clear. If mothers are burning out, they're not going to be able to show up as their best selves. And that makes it even harder for their children to show up as their best selves. As a society, this should concern us all. But why now? Let me be clear. Motherhood today is harder than in recent generations, not because mothers are weaker, but because the load is heavier. First, we are more alone. The village that it once took to raise a child is vanishing. Childcare costs have vastly outpaced rates of inflation, and nearly half of all Americans live in childcare deserts. While childcare assistance has become less reliable and accessible, the work hasn't been evenly distributed. Mothers do about twice as much hands-on childcare compared to fathers, even in dual-earner households. This isn't about blaming dads, but when community supports collapse, the work of caregiving falls to the people that society has always placed it on: women, mothers. Our systems are failing families, and that failure shows up as overwhelm. As a psychologist, I see an accumulation of pressures that are overwhelming the emotional capacity of moms. The childcare itself is emotional labor. Care is the operative word here. The loving, the worrying, the holding it all together. And today, modern parenting requires even more care. Less punishment, more patience. Less reactivity, more presence. While this is a positive trend for childhood, it now means that moms need to manage their own big feelings while also trying to manage the big feelings of their child. And so, of course, we reach for our phones for support and guidance. But on our phones, the people we would call are busy or working or managing their own motherhood crises. Today, that reach looks like 75% of mothers going to social media for parenting advice. What could go wrong? On our phones, we are met with massive amounts of information and oftentimes more anxiety than relief. And when we access that information, we then have to filter it for relevance, trustworthiness, and then we have to figure out how to apply any of that information to our unique and complex motherhood challenges. When we talk about raising happy, resilient kids, we rarely ask the most important question of all. Did the child's mother get help when she needed it most? Because when she doesn't, parental burnout is simply an inevitability. So, I ask the question, who cares for mothers? As a psychologist, I can tell you it would be absolutely inhumane for people to provide 24/7, on-demand, personalized guidance to the millions of mothers who need it. But what if that support came from something not human? What if AI, ethically designed and overseen by human experts, could help mothers feel less alone, less overwhelmed, all from the access points of their phone? Imagine a world with a technology that understands more than a mother's calendar and her logistics, trying to make her more efficient, but actually sees the weight and the joy of the invisible load of motherhood. A technology grounded in science and compassion. That is what we are building with Tara. Tara is AI guided by psychologists, a technology aimed at complementing human connection rather than replacing it. Picture a mother. She is alone, overwhelmed. Her child's cries have shaken her confidence. She's on an inevitable path to burnout. And instead of spiraling when she reaches for her phone, she finds Tara there. And with Tara, she pauses, breathes, and Tara gently and wisely guides her through evidence-based strategies that help her to just find her next step, which might even include connecting her with organic and human support. We are starting with mothers because the pain is acute, and we know that building a one-size-fits-all AI is not ethical nor equitable design. But if we truly believe that it takes a village to raise a child, then we know that Tara cannot just be for mothers. Tara is for caregivers. And this is what human-centered, responsible AI can do. Not make us superhuman, but remind us that being human has always been enough. The future of technology is not about replacing care. It's about returning care to the people who have been giving it all along. Because here is the irony of burnout. The people who burn out are often the ones who care the most. And so, it should be no surprise that the antidote to burnout is care. Thank you.